Welcome to the Plant-Based Switch with me, Nafsika Antipas, where we explore the transformative power of plant-based living for your mind, body, and soul. Join me as we have honest conversations about health, wellness, and living more compassionately. Welcome to the Plant-Based Switch, where we explore the intersections of health, nutrition, and sustainability. Today, I'm happy to have Sapna Peruvemba with us. Sapna is a dedicated plant-based dietitian and PhD student studying the health and environmental impacts of dietary choices, particularly in Loma Linda, a recognized blue zone. Welcome, Sapna.
Hi, Nafsika. Thank you for having me.
Let's dive right in. As a plant-based dietitian, can you explain what a plant-based diet looks like and its key nutritional components?
Sure. The word plant-based has gained a lot of popularity. And I think a lot of people assume that it means vegan, completely vegan. And that's not necessarily the case. I think the reason that it's gained a lot of popularity is that it can encompass a bunch of different plant-forward dietary patterns. It could include vegans, could include vegetarians, but the main tenet of a plant-based diet is one that is based in plants. So most of the diet is made up of plant-based foods like fruits, vegetables, whole grains, beans, legumes, nuts, and seeds. And some people choose to include a small amount of animal products in their diet as well, like meats and dairy and things like that, but it's not the basis of the diet.
That's right. That's right. A lot of people might think that's the same, but being vegan is it's more about the ethical aspect of it with the animals, like making sure there's no animals are harmed, which happens to be a plant-based diet as well. What common misconceptions do you encounter about plant-based diets?
Where to begin? There's so many. I think most of the time I get nutrition related misconceptions. One of the most common ones is soy bad for you? Oh, I don't want to go vegan because I need to eat a lot of tofu and tempeh and soy milk, and isn't that bad for you? I also get, questions like, oh, you can't get enough protein. Or how do you get enough omega-3s? Don't you need to eat fish for that? Uh,
Yep.
and so many others. I think it also depends. Some people are trying to build muscle, so they don't want to go vegan for that reason. Some people are athletes, and so they don't feel like they'll have enough endurance on a plant-based diet. There's so many things we can unpack.
Yeah. We had a vegan bodybuilder on the show, and he totally dispelled that myth about the protein. But also, definitely, a lot of people. I'm always saying this. The animals that they eat, they're plant based, so they're consuming plant based foods in order to give you those nutrients that you're getting secondhand, right? Like you're kind of getting recycled nutrients at this point. Like I always say, just go straight to the source. Go straight to eat the plants. Why eat an animal in order to get the nutrients that they're getting from plants? So,
It's more efficient.
yeah, exactly. Now shifting gears to blue zones, one of my favorite topics. These areas are known for their longevity and health. Can you share some key behaviors that contribute to the health benefits of the blue zone lifestyle?
Yeah, so there are so many. As a dietitian, I always tend to focus on the diet aspect. So we'll start with that one. But we can see that in blue zones across the world, not just in Loma Linda, people follow a mostly plant-based diet, as we just discussed. And people in other blue zones may not strictly be vegan or vegetarian, but they do make the basis of their diet plant-based foods, especially whole plant-based foods like the fruits, vegetables, whole grains, legumes, nuts, seeds, olive oil, things like that. And in Loma Linda, it's particularly interesting because a lot of people here are actually lacto-ovo vegetarian due to their religion, Seventh-day Adventism. So a lot of them also don't eat animal products at all. And for those of you who may not know much about Seventh-day Adventism, it is a tenet within Christianity that believes we must honor our bodies because it is God's creation, and we must do that by taking care of our health. So that includes eating mostly plant-based foods and limiting or excluding animal products. But Seventh-day Adventists here in Loma Linda also exclude alcohol and drugs from their lifestyle, and that even includes caffeine. So a lot of Seventh-day Adventists won't even drink coffee or tea unless it's decaffeinated. It's really interesting because when I came to Loma Linda University to study at my program, I looked around all the different restaurants and cafes, and I couldn't find coffee anywhere.
That's cool. Actually, it's funny. I mean, I follow that lifestyle naturally. I've always never done drugs. I've never. I don't drink. I don't drink alcohol. I don't smoke, and I don't drink coffee either. Just because I never got into it, and I'm like, if I'm not gonna put something in my body that I know it's not gonna do good for me, so do me any good. So that's why I kind of already was following this type of lifestyle. But it makes sense, why, our bodies should be respected, and I love that concept.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. There are so many principles that I have taken away from this lifestyle, even though I'm not Seventh-day Adventist myself, that I think are really helpful for all of us. Another thing that I saw when I moved here was that people are always outside. They're walking around. They're walking from their job to work. I mean, from work to home or home to work, or walking around campus, even when it's really hot outside. And one of the most common things to do here is to go to the Drayson Center, which is a well-known gym where people go and they exercise or they attend fitness classes or they go to events like marathons and strength training activities and programs. So it's a really physically active community as well. Um, so I think that that's also a really important part of their longevity.
Yeah, that's great. It's a wonderful balance of everything. Health, mental health, physical health, emotional, everything it's all together. What role does community play in the diets of blue zone inhabitants? Like you were just mentioning, actually, some examples now with the gym and everything.
I think community plays a huge role in the mental and emotional aspect of health. Loma Linda is really interesting because they have a holistic view of health. So they don't just consider physical health, but they also consider mental, emotional, and spiritual health. And I think that's really important. So in the community building aspects of things, you see that a lot of the Seventh-day Adventists here participate in community events like Bible study and going to church and church-related events, but also non-religious events. A lot of people have family that they like to spend time with, or they participate in these fitness programs together. You see groups of people riding their bikes together or going on runs together. So that community building aspect is a big part of Seventh-day Adventism here in Loma Linda. And you also see that during Sabbath, which is a day off, a rest day, if
Mm.
you will.
Day of rest.
Yeah, yeah, and I think that's also a big important factor in their longevity, right? A day to completely take a break. So a Sabbath essentially means complete rest, physical rest, as well as mental rest. So as students, we're not allowed to send emails to professors or work on assignments on Sabbath, and it's just supposed to be a complete break. But you also find that people here tend to engage in Sabbath together. So they will take a rest together and they'll enjoy the day together.
Well, I for one love that concept. Everything, it's amazing. It covers everything, like I said. But let's talk about the environmental impacts now of our food choices. How does a plant-based diet contribute to a more sustainable food system?
That's a great question. I think that there are so many different things we can do to reduce our environmental impact, but I truly believe that following a plant-based diet is the single biggest thing we can do to reduce our overall environmental impact on an individual level. It's really interesting because the food system makes up 30% of global greenhouse gas emissions. So more than a quarter of global greenhouse gas emissions. So what we eat really does make a difference. And when we look at the individual environmental impact of foods, research consistently shows that animal products are significant contributors to environmental damage compared to plant-based foods. So animal products tend to emit a lot more greenhouse gas emissions. They tend to use more natural resources such as land, water,
Yeah.
even fertilizers and pesticides, and they account for more biodiversity loss, or they contribute to more species loss.
What are some practical steps listeners can take to make more sustainable food choices?
First of all, you don't have to go vegan or even vegetarian, but one thing I do recommend is try to eat more plant-based, even if it's something simple, like if you are eating meat every day of the week, try to reduce that, maybe 6 days of the week instead of 7. Do meatless Monday. Or maybe for your protein options, instead of beef one day, switch it to beans. Just a simple swap like that can actually have a significant environmental impact. And the more plant-based swaps you make like that, the greater the reduction in environmental impact you'll have.
Discover the transformative power of a plant based diet. The Plant Based Switch app is an all in one wellness app that encapsulates the essence of holistic health and mindful living. Download the Plant Based Switch app today or visit theplantbasedswitch.com. Make the Plant Based Switch today for your mind, body, and soul. Yeah, when they started on social media, the Meatless Mondays, that really actually, I feel like it made a difference. Like some people were just, they're making them also more conscious. Like, oh, how many times a week am I eating meat? Growing up, I would have it I would limit to about 2 times a week. I would have meat when I was young, like before I went vegan. And I would encourage people to do that. And even now I encourage, even if you're not vegan right now, at least, limit it a little bit, reduce the amount consumption of meat, and swap it for plant-based. There's so many things, like you can get so much protein and iron and from beans and lentils, and it'll fill you up. Amazing. Like I feel amazing when I'm eating plant-based. So definitely it's good to encourage people just to swap out 6 days a week of meat is a lot. 7 days, there's a lot of people that eat every day meat and even twice a day meat, and that's a lot. I mean, it does a lot to your body on a health aspect of it. Like is not good. It's doing damage. So if you're looking at it from the health side, at least reduce the meat that way. And then if you want to, really have a positive impact on the environment, reduce it even more, down to nothing if possible. But yeah, like we said, like baby steps, just try to reduce as much as you can. I think that's it's a good idea for you, your health, and the planet.
Yeah, I agree. And I think now it's easier than ever to do that because there's
Yeah.
so many more plant-based options than ever before. So it can be as easy as going to your local restaurant where now they have a Impossible Patty or a Beyond Meat burger or whatever it
Yeah.
is, and just swap the animal meat for plant-based meat, even though it's not particularly as healthy as getting a bowl full of fruits and vegetables and beans. It is still a healthier and more environmentally sustainable option than going for the animal protein.
That's right. And a lot of restaurants do offer those options now. Like if you go down the menu, even if it's not a vegan restaurant, you go down the menu, check the the sides and everything. But also sometimes you could swap out to vegan cheese or to different kind of plant-based meat. So you have to definitely read the menu and ask the waiter. You never know. Like sometimes you just assume they don't have any vegan options, but you can be surprised. There are a lot more vegan options out there in regular mainstream restaurants and supermarkets these days. On a personal note, what inspired you to pursue a career in plant-based nutrition and research?
So I am a lifelong vegetarian. My family is Hindu, so everyone in my family has always been vegetarian for religious reasons.
Yeah.
But I just blindly followed them. I didn't really understand why we were vegetarian or anything like that. But I've always been interested in the way we eat and our food and things like that. So in high school, I think I joined the Humane Society, like a volunteer team or something like that, and they were talking about veganism, and that was something I had never heard of before. And it really changed my perspective on food and diet to learn of the cruelty that was happening in the dairy and egg industries. Because growing up, I was told that the vegetarian diet is the most ethical lifestyle choice. So I immediately went vegan, and so did my parents, actually. And we experienced so many health benefits. I was very young, so I didn't really experience much, but I got a lot better skin, a lot better energy. I felt the best I had ever felt. My dad completely reversed his prediabetes and his blood pressure and cholesterol,
Wow.
lost a lot of weight, and I was just blown away by the health benefits. And that's why I pursued nutrition, because I wanted to share with the world how impactful on your health alone that a plant-based diet is. And then when I went to college, that's when I discovered, hey, there's an environmental side of this too. It's not just
It
beneficial for
gets
your
better and
health.
better.
It's better and better. It becomes a win-win-win, right?
Win-win.
From a health, environmental, and ethical standpoint.
Yep. That's amazing. I love your story. That's so great that your whole family went vegan. With dairy, again, when you stop dairy, you're reducing your chances of congestion, inflammation, all that stuff, right? So there's so many perks to going vegan aside from just saving the animals, but health wise, there's a lot of benefits definitely. As we wrap up, what final thoughts or advice would you like to share with our listeners about adopting a plant-based lifestyle?
I think one that I may have already shared is start small, right? I think it can be really overwhelming depending on where you're starting from to just quit cold turkey and go vegan or go vegetarian. So I would start with a small swap and build it up. So, a meatless meal, or maybe even just trying a vegan restaurant once in a while, or a vegan meal once in a while, and then build it up to maybe a meatless meal 2 days a week, 3 days
Hmm.
a week. Instead of feeling overwhelmed and feeling like you need to go vegan immediately, which is actually what I did. I
Oh, you
I
too?
transitioned
I went. I
overnight.
I went. I turned vegan overnight. I watched a documentary, and I'm like, "That's it. No, I'm going vegan." So that's nice. Oh, that's good. Yeah, but not everyone could do that or think they could do that. So, but it's okay to go gradually, also, because it's not like such a shock to your body. Depends if you're eating so much meat all the time. You don't want to shock your body, but like slowly transitioning is totally fine. But yeah, no, I went vegan just like you overnight, so that was cool. How was what did you feel when you went vegan overnight? Like, how did it affect you at all? Or you were already vegetarian, so
Well, I was already vegetarian, but one thing you should know is that my diet was very heavily reliant on dairy products.
yes.
So I feel like that made a huge difference just in the first.
What's the paneer? What's it called? Paneer?
Paneer. I
Yeah.
love paneer.
Yeah.
But
I
I mean,
know.
now I just use tofu instead. It's a really great swap.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I love Indian food actually, so I love it. Just I have to always watch out for that paneer. Like make sure it's I'm not having any dairy, but there's so many choices you have in the Indian cuisine. So,
I was really lucky that I was already naturally mostly vegetarian, but there's a lot of cream and ghee and paneer and milk in so many of our foods and desserts and stuff.
yeah.
So within the first 2 weeks of going vegan, I felt so much lighter. I felt had more energy.
You
Um,
cleared up. You just like
my skin
Just
cleared
yeah.
up, and that's a big deal because I was in high school, I was a teenager, and I had so much acne and
Ugh,
it just went away.
I wish I did it when I was a teenager. Ugh. But that's good. That's good. Well, thank you so much for sharing your insights, Sapna. It's been a pleasure chatting with you today.
Thank you, Nafsika. Thank you for having me.
For our listeners, be sure to check out her work and consider how you can incorporate plant-based choices into your diet. And thank you for tuning to the Plant-Based Switch. If you enjoyed the episode, please subscribe and share with your friends. Until next time, stay healthy and inspired. Thanks for tuning in to the Plant-Based Switch. I'm Nafsi Kantipas, helping you throughout your plant-based journey. And remember, if you plant it, it will grow.